Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. So basically, this is a LinkedIn training for marketing job seekers. So I would prefer for this to be an interactive session where I'll show you some things and then you can ask me questions about different things that you can do on LinkedIn. And if you want to know something specific, then I'm happy to try to answer that. While I know a great deal about LinkedIn, and probably know as much as any individual can. It's of course, a vast platform, and there are definitely going to be things that I don't know. So most of what we're going to cover today is actually on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which it is a premium version of LinkedIn, but I believe that it's well worth the cost. And also they have a free 30-day trial. So, for searching for a job, hopefully those 30 days will at least give you a good start on your job search. And then if it extends a little farther, then, you won't have to make that big of an investment to keep going using the Sales Navigator platform, because it really is a powerful tool, and there's a whole lot more there than there is in LinkedIn Basic, and there's actually a lot more there than in the regular LinkedIn Premium. So again, it's called LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and I'll show you all the reasons why I think it's a fantastic tool to use in your job search. So I'm going to go ahead and get on that platform now. And again, if anybody has any questions and wants to stop me in the middle of something, or if you missed something and you need me to clarify, then let me know. Just take yourself off mute. And if you want to join by video, that's even better, because I'd love to see everyone's face and get to know you more in person. Hi, Mark. Thank you for being on video today. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now and take you into Sales Navigator. Hold on, let me get the right screen. Okay, so this is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And let me see here. Let me put this, let me get myself a better view. All right. Funny thing is somebody that TJ, who is on this webinar, just happens to be the first person that shows up on the Sales Navigator feed here. So anyway, what we're going to do is actually go into the search tools, which is where I think the major value of this platform is. So it operates somewhat similar to LinkedIn, where there's a search bar and some filters to drill down into, but the filters here for searching are just so much better than basic LinkedIn. So when you go into search, you can choose either by account filters or by lead filters. So a lead filter is going to be an actual individual, and an account is going to be a company. So first we're going to start by searching for an account. Or for multiple accounts, basically. So if you see here, there are a lot more ways to search for companies in Sales Navigator than there are in regular LinkedIn. So sorry, I'm trying to get to my list of things I want to show you. Okay, so of course, you can search by keyword, you can search by geography. So we're just going to actually go through a search here. So I'm in Atlanta, some of you are not, but if you select Atlanta, then of course it narrows it down 82,000 individuals. So let's say you're looking for a marketing or advertising agency position. So this industry field here is really great for that, because you can actually select marketing and advertising. And as you see here, there are 3.5 thousand results in the Atlanta metro area. So another great thing here is that you can actually select department headcount. So if you want to work for a bigger team in marketing, then you can select it has a drop down menu here. You can select marketing, and then you can put in, you know, that you want at least 10 people on in the marketing department up to 50 people in the marketing department. I'm not going to actually select that right now because it won't really work for this search. Well, actually, it's going to make me. So we'll say 0 to 1,000, 10,000. I think that'll. Well, and this is what happens when you do a live demonstration. Let's start over. Okay. So we're going to add Atlanta back in, the metropolitan area. So marketing and advertising, you can search by department headcount growth. So if they're growing quickly or they're adding members, then you can select there. You can base it on revenue. So if you want a larger company, you could put in, you know, 1 billion, 3 billion. If you wanted something smaller, then you can put in 10 million might be a good range there for a smaller company. The number of people in the company, how fast the headcount is growing, whether they're a Fortune company or not. The number of followers, I'm not sure that you'll get a ton of value out of that unless maybe you're in social media. You can actually search on the different types of technologies that they use. And then here's something that's really great here that you probably don't have access to on a regular LinkedIn, but you can check whether they're hiring on LinkedIn or not. Relationship, anyone that you're connected to at those companies, and then you can actually set up your own tags here to better save searches and things later. So if we click search, then we have 82 companies here in Atlanta that are hiring on LinkedIn, and that should fall in some sort of marketing or advertising category. So a lot of these are going to be agencies. As you see, 22 Squared is an agency, Definition 6, Pure Red, Nebo. These are all agencies. And then there's also going to be different kinds of tools like a HubSpot or Terminus or something like that will probably show up in this list as well. One thing that's really cool here is after you go and select one of these companies, let me see if I have one that is not saved already. Okay, so 44 is a good example. It's a great agency here in town. So if you open up 44, you can actually take notes on this company. So if you apply there or if you reach out to somebody there, then you can actually document what you've done. And so that you can go back in later and see what kind of activity that you've had there. Another great feature here is that you can actually save this company. I already have a list saved for agencies, marketing agencies in Atlanta. So you can either create a new list or you can save it to an existing list. So since I already have an agency category here, I'm saving them to my marketing agency category. Of course, you can see that they have 54 employees here and 15 decision makers. And then you can see some information about recommended leads within this organization. I'll go into more about why this saving feature is important in a second. You can also see news and insights on this particular company as well. And then similar companies people also viewed so that you can discover some other companies that you may not realize are there. You can even add them to multiple lists. So if you click here on these 3 drop downs, add to another list, and you know, if they happen to be maybe like a marketing tool as well, then you could add them to that list too. Okay, so now to go into the lead filters. So again, leads are individuals, accounts are companies. So you can search on keywords, you can search on custom lists that you create for yourself. So we just added a company to a list. So we can select, agencies if we wanted to, so that now we can find the actual individuals that work in those agencies, which is really powerful. Past lead and account activity. Okay, so these are like, if you've already searched for some of these individuals before, then you can eliminate them in your search, so that you don't kind of duplicate your efforts. Geography, Atlanta, just for simplicity's sake. If you have a relationship with them, that's going to be first degree, second degree, third, or third degree connections. The industry, again, we could select marketing, and actually, let's not do that. Sorry, let's skip that one for now. If you wanted to find people that went to the same university as you did, to have some sort of commonality to reach out to them about. Profile language, if you happen to be a non-English speaker, then that could be helpful as well. You can also search by individual first and last name. Seniority level, the years in the current position, years at current company. So the function would be important potentially here, because then you could search people that are in a marketing function, or somebody that's in human resources. But really, title is very important for a search like this, because we can search on recruiter. And actually, let me take this off. Okay, so you can search on recruiter, and then how long the individual has, how many years of experience they have. So if you're looking for a more senior recruiter, then you can dial in there. If you're looking for recruiters at a specific company, then you would type that in here under the company search. Company headcount size. So we're going to look for recruiters in the 200 to 500 size. And then the type of company, if you do a lot of work for nonprofits or government companies, then you can narrow your search in with that. Past companies that they may have worked at, when they became a member, it's not really relevant. Groups, tags, and posted content keywords. So if we click search here, then we now have all of the recruiters. Most of the recruiters that would be on LinkedIn in the Atlanta metro area, 200 to 500 person headcount. And their title is recruiter. So this is a really great way to find the individuals that are actually seeking the jobs that you're looking for. And you can save these individuals just like we saved the account. So if you click save, then you created a dummy account here. So if you click save, then you can click adding it to the in this case, LinkedIn training saved list. I've actually maxed out my saves. It'll allow you to save 1,500 individuals, and I've maxed those out. So I can't actually add anyone to my list without clearing out some of the people that I have on here. But this person is a senior executive recruiter at New Relic. And that gives you, more information about him, obviously. So the reason that these saves are important is that if you go back to your home screen here, the difference between LinkedIn Basic and LinkedIn Sales Navigator is your feed within LinkedIn Sales Navigator will now only be the companies that you saved and the individuals that you saved. So your feed is no longer just random. It's not, anybody that you might be connected to on LinkedIn. It is specifically the people that you're interested in knowing about. So this is an example of that feed, and this has both companies and individuals in this feed. I'm going to show you a few more things here that make this really great. So if you go under all alerts, and you go down to account news. So now anyone that you've saved as an account, or any company that you've saved as an account, this will give you news about that organization. And so because you have that news, you can reach out to individuals at the company and, you know, congratulate them on maybe like getting more funding for their growth, or I guess another example would be when you see that they've moved into a new market or they're making investments in certain areas, then you know, that's information that will help you in your job search. So account funding news, it looks like there isn't any for the accounts that we have saved. But of course, you know, when companies receive funding, then they're probably going to be hiring soon. So that's a good thing to keep your eye on. Accounts preparing to grow. This is pretty spectacular. So Invesco is preparing for growth. Job openings have accelerated in the past 90 days. Accenture job openings have accelerated in the past 90 days. Anheuser-Busch has been hiring a lot. Market Pro and MailChimp have been hiring a lot. So it's a really great way to see which companies are hiring in an accelerated fashion. Senior hires at the account. So these are people who the company has hired. So if you see that, so Rob White has now become the Vice President of Marketing at Nationwide Marketing Group. So if Rob White is now the VP, there's a good chance that Rob White's probably going to be hiring people for that organization. And so he might be a good person to reach out to or connect with or follow. And once you save, if you save Rob White here, if you saved him, then everything that he posts about is now going to be in your feed, which is great, because likely the person who is hiring for the position, the hiring manager, is almost always going to post the positions that they have available. So it allows you to see those positions that may not even be advertised or promoted, or even in a lot of cases, they don't even make a job board. So that allows you to reach out to these individuals. So Wonderman Thompson just hired a chief creative officer. Let's see, other marketing roles, product strategy and insight. So these are all people that will probably be adding to their teams soon. So account shares would be what the actual company page promoted. So that's also going to be a place where companies will actually post jobs on their company page. So you'll just see a running list here of companies that might actually be hiring someone. Let's see, what else? Account decision makers. It looks like none of the decision makers in our saved feed have posted any news. And then employment movement at the account. So Upwork is an account to consider. Microsoft employees have been moving here at an increased rate. So that leads me to believe that Microsoft may have furloughed some employees or potentially laid them off, because now they're actually potentially working at Upwork as a consultant or a contractor. I have no idea if that's the case, but that's just a hypothetical situation that might have transpired. So then you have like Frito-Lay is a new account to consider. PepsiCo employees have been moving from PepsiCo to Frito-Lay. So this basically just shows movement in the business world and who you might target because they're hiring. And then everything down below that is actually related to Sales Navigator also has a Teams function, and so it's related to being on a team. So you can basically do the same thing with leads. So if a lead, if there's news about an individual, so say somebody gets promoted and they happen to be in a press release or something, then that's what lead news would be. And then there is lead shares, so whatever that individual shares. So again, if you're following all of the recruiters in Atlanta, they're likely going to be sharing every open position that they have. And so you'll see it post up here immediately as soon as they have that position available. I post almost all of my positions here on LinkedIn so people can see who I'm hiring by doing a search like this. Lead change jobs. So for instance, if you see that someone started a new position somewhere else, you can go and try to see where they were working previously. And then that position, the position that they left, is likely currently open. So you can go try to get your foot in the door with that company before a lot of people have figured out that that position is open. So when you see that somebody has changed jobs, then you can try to go after the job that they had previously. Same goes with if they have changed roles. So if they got promoted, then the position right below them is probably going to be open and available and ready to be filled. So viewed your profile, that's the same as regular LinkedIn. And so that's actually all to cover there. So let's see what else I wanted to show you. Okay, so that covers the actual LinkedIn, I'm sorry, the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Does anybody have any questions about LinkedIn Sales Navigator? And do you find, I mean, does this seem like a tool that would be useful for you? Anyone?
Yeah, I think it would be. I didn't even realize this was
Okay.
a part.
I'm just going to assume that's a yes. All I see are a bunch of names. So I see one head shaking. Thank you, Mark.
My mic's not working?
Okay, and then just to give you some information on cost of Sales Navigator, because like I said, it is a premium version of LinkedIn, but in my opinion, it is well worth it. I use this tool every single day, and it really has kind of changed my experience with LinkedIn. So per month, it's $79.99. But like I said, they offer a 30-day free trial, so you can get at least 30 days in on the free trial before you move, and before you would have to pay anything. Just remember to cancel it before 30 days is up, or if you want to continue using it, I would highly recommend it. I actually think it's a great tool to use even if you aren't looking for a job. It's an incredible way to find people. So as I mentioned, you can save up to 1,500 leads, and then with this tool, you can also send up to 20 in-mail messages. So if there's an individual that you really want to talk to, then you can send them a direct message. The other thing that is that I forgot to point out is, so like if somebody posts that they're hiring here, like let's say one of the recruiters posts that they're hiring, then you can like their post and send them a message about the position that they're hiring through the in-mail system, or you can connect with them and send them a message through the connection request. I send a lot of communication through connection requests because they're going to receive that message. Just be cognizant that it needs to be a legitimate message, and it needs to not be a situation where as soon as they accept it, you're going to spam them or send them messages that they don't want. It's better to just be upfront and honest and say what you're looking for. And the more that you can offer to help someone else, the more that they're going to be willing to help you. Or if you send them like some sort of congratulations message on some news article or something that that you saw about their company or about the individual, then when you send them a message or send them a request or whatever, they're likely going to go and check out your profile. And if you have, that you're looking for a job indicated on your profile, then that may, attract their attention and make them want to reach out to you based on something that they may be hiring. Okay. And then, so if we go to regular LinkedIn, um, let's see here. So if you go to regular LinkedIn, so for instance, I have so many connections that the feed has already moved it out. But when I was preparing for this earlier, there's a social media position available at Mailchimp. So I'd gotten that in my feed. I was hoping it would still be here so that you could see it. But if anybody's looking for a paid social position, then Mailchimp is hiring for that position. So if you go to your basic LinkedIn profile, putting as much as you can in this top area is always good, as long as it's relevant and if it applies to what you're looking for. A trick here is if you try to update this on the desktop, it will limit your characters. If you update it from your phone, from the LinkedIn app on your phone, your characters will not be limited. So when you see people like me with kind of these longer profile headers, that's probably how they were able to do that. And it looks like I passed some sort of LinkedIn assessment. I've never seen that before, but that's new. So something that you want to do with your profile, make sure that you fill out the About section and give an overview of yourself and the work that you've done. This is obviously a professional tool, so keep it relevant to business and not to personal. I mean, it's fine to write, a sentence about your family or something towards the end, but it really needs to be more about what you've done from a professional perspective. Definitely include your contact information. I put spaces in between the at so that spam bots don't pick up the email address, but you want people to be able to reach out to you from your LinkedIn profile. I reach out to people constantly on LinkedIn for jobs. And if I can't find a way to contact them, then I'll likely move on to the next candidate to find a way to contact the next person, especially if you have a profile that requires someone to put an email address in to connect. That's just another barrier for people to be able to reach out to you about a job. So I understand that some people don't want a lot of connections on LinkedIn, but it's actually a better practice to allow really anyone to try to connect with you. You don't have to accept them all, but allowing people to try to connect with you is a good way to expand your network, as well as setting yourself up for recruiters and hiring managers to be able to find you. Another point is that LinkedIn actually works on an exponential system. So the more people that you're connected to, the more people you have access to. So the fact that I have, let's see, well, I can't access it very quickly, but I have something like 8,200 connections right now. So the fact that I have 8,200 connections now gives me access to more and more second and third level connections that allows me to be able to find people more easily, and really just kind of opens up almost anyone that I would ever want to try to communicate with on LinkedIn. So it's certainly not a bad thing to have more connections on LinkedIn. And if anybody starts to spam you, then you can just delete them. I get it all day long, unfortunately, but it's just part of it. It's also a good idea to put keywords on your actual profile. So these are, I've done it in two ways. I've actually done the hashtags here so that if somebody's searching for the hashtag, then they'll find me. And then I've actually done it just in regular text as well. So just a random, or just a random LinkedIn search, they'll be able to find me there as well. So a lot of people do this. This is not considered, poor form. the LinkedIn search operates exactly like Google search. So it's based on an algorithm. So the more information that you have in your profile to help people find you, the more likely they are to find you. And speaking from experience, recruiters are on LinkedIn all day looking for you. So the easier you make it for them to find you, the more likely they are to reach out to you. So another thing that you might pay attention to is if you do go to, say, a hiring manager's profile or a recruiter's profile, if you look here in their featured area, you'll see things that they want you to pay attention to, and you can comment on those or like those, or engage in their conversation. Engaging with people will draw their attention to you. And if somebody likes your post every single time or comments on your post every single time, then you notice, and you'll actually start paying attention to that individual. So if you really want to get in front of someone, then that's a great way to do it. Then down here, this is actually good too. So if you go under activity, so you'll be able to see someone's activity. Oh, here's the MailChimp. Marketing manager, paid social media. So I just liked that. So you can actually see what someone else's activity is, and then you can see what their posts are. And when you see their posts and you start liking their posts and commenting on their posts, then they'll start to notice you, as I mentioned before. Of course, make sure that everything under your employment is current and up to date, and actually shows a good representation of what you've done in the past, because that's where we're going to look. And even if we don't go, as a recruiter or hiring manager, even if we don't actually find you on LinkedIn, if you apply, we're likely going to also go to your LinkedIn profile. I mean, so here's a great example. If you're applying for a social media role and your LinkedIn profile is not built out, and if you aren't communicating on LinkedIn and you aren't part of the conversation, then we're likely not going to contact you about a social media position. Social media, we're for sure going to be going to Facebook as well. We're going to check out everything that you've done. So if you're applying for jobs that, that can show your expertise on one of these platforms, then I, implore you to actually represent yourself on these platforms in the way that you want an employer to see you when you apply for a job. Excuse me. So, finding commonalities with people, like when I reach out to people on LinkedIn that, that I may not already know, I might bring up that, if they went to Kentucky or whatever, or any kind of organization. So I'm on the board of AMA. If somebody wanted to reach out to me, then they might mention that I'm on the board, or that they're in the AMA organization. They'd love to meet me at an AMA event, or, how can I get more involved in AMA or something like that. Just finding ways to have legitimate conversations with people is great. It looks like they've added this might have been here for a while. I haven't looked at this, but it looks like you can take a skill quiz to beef up your profile even more. And then, of course, trying to get recommendations from individuals. I do read these when I'm looking at somebody's profile, because it really, if one of your coworkers or somebody that you've been in an organization with, it will go to bat for you and actually make a recommendation for you, then I think that's a really great sign from a hiring perspective. You can ask people for recommendations. Also, if you give someone a recommendation, then LinkedIn will automatically ask that individual if they want to recommend you. So, being proactive and recommending them before asking them to recommend you is always helpful. And then I even look at people's interests. You know, if they're interested in, you know, a lot of you know, marketing types of organizations and things like that, it's not going to be a deal breaker of whether I reach out to somebody or not, or whether I think that they would be a good hire or not. But it just shows that, you know, they're thinking about personal and business development and wanting to follow people that are, you know, relevant to the industry. So that's really all that and then of course show recruiters that you're open to work. I think that that's a smart thing to do as well. And then you can showcase your services here. I think that's more for like a business or a consultancy, but it's something to look into if not. So that's really what I wanted to cover. And like I said, I would love for you all to ask me questions if you have any, or if anything's not clear, or if you want me to, you know, recap something, I'd be happy to do that as well.
So I have a question. Hopefully you can hear me. I don't know if she can.
Did y'all find that helpful? I hope.
She can't hear me.
Oh, I can't hear you, Mark. Hold on.
Yeah, trying.
Hold on. I think you're still muted. Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
There we go. Okay, so I was actually just saying that Jason's been trying to make a comment to you, but we can hear him. I don't know that you can hear him. Jason, can you hear?
Oh, sorry, Jason.
Yeah, I can hear you guys, but I guess she can't hear me. No, that's okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, great. So when reaching out to an HR rep or an account person, how much is too much when you first email them, like, hey, I want to connect, I'm looking to increase my network, by the way, I'm also open to blah, 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 like, or should you just sort of
Yeah. So I think that, you know, reaching out in a friendly way, I definitely, like I said, offering to help them in some way or congratulate them or something about them as a first connection is always great. And then I think that you could follow up with that, you know, a few days later or a couple of days later and say, you know, by the way, I'm actually looking for a position at your organization. Here's what I'm looking for. Are you, you know, do you know if there's any positions open there, or if you think somebody might be hiring sometime soon in the future? Does something like that seem like a comfortable situation for you?
Yeah, I've also done when I've applied for a job, I've found who the HR person is and emailed them just to quote unquote give them a heads up that I applied for position X, and if they have any questions, they can contact me.
Yes. I think that that's great, actually. I think a lot of people are really scared to reach out to recruiters and hiring managers. And I think it just, you know, you just have to do it in a tactful way and not be aggressive about it, because I have had people be aggressive with me. And that's never good. But if you follow up and say, you know, hey, I applied online, I just wanted to get my resume directly to you, I think that that's totally fine. Now, everyone is different. So there's going to be recruiters out there that may not like that. But if they don't, they don't. You know, there's another job out there, or another recruiter or hiring manager to reach out to. I don't think many of them, unless, like I said, unless you're aggressive about it, I don't think many of them will hold it against you, even if they don't like it. It's a tough world out there. You got to stand out somehow.
So, and now, isn't there some etiquette between going to hiring managers, particularly when recruiters are involved? Do they get a little bent out of shape when you go directly to the hiring manager and circumvent the recruiter, or is it okay?
Yeah, if a recruiter is working on a position, never go around them, like an external recruiter. So there are internal recruiters and there's external recruiters. The internal actually works for the company. The external recruiter, if you go around them, it's usually not a very smart thing to do. Number one, the recruiter, when I'm hiring for a position, I'm almost in the smaller organization. I am working with the CEO and I'm working with the founders of the organization. And so I will put your resume directly on the desk or directly in the inbox of those individuals. And if you go around me, you're going to end up in the big pit of the application tracking system. So you have a much better chance of getting your foot in the door if you go through me than if you go through the online application system. The other thing is, and I have no issues with full transparency on this. We get paid by the company, and we get paid when someone gets hired. And if somebody applies directly with the company, then we don't get paid. And so, as much as we'd all like to work for free and just, be great, kind people, we do still have to pay our bills, and I have to build things like the Marketing Mob community platform that, requires cash. So I enjoy getting paid, and I'm sure everyone on this call does. So when you circumvent a recruiter, then you basically push them out of that deal, which is never a good thing. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that. I think that they're trying to cover all their bases by applying online and applying with the recruiter, and they don't realize that it's actually hurting them, because then the recruiter doesn't put them on the desk of the CEO or founder or hiring manager. I mean, those are the people we work with. We work with the owners, the internal recruiters that are hiring, and the hiring managers. So that's our direct path with those individuals. So you want to make sure that if you can get a recruiter to represent you, then that's definitely the best scenario.
How's that dynamic change when you're talking about internal recruiters, though? I mean, so you find a position online, you can even identify the internal recruiter, but you're really ambitious, and you find the hiring manager, and you say, you know what, stiff arm the recruiter, I'm going directly to the hiring manager. How does that work?
Definitely don't stiff arm, but if you can get to the hiring manager, they're going to be the ones making the decision. So if you can get to the hiring manager, then that's great, because they're the ones making the decision. If you can find who they are, and using some of these techniques that I was showing on Sales Navigator, I think can actually help you find that hiring manager. But I might recommend reaching out to both, honestly, so that the internal recruiter doesn't feel like you went around them. And I mean, it's definitely often easier to work directly with the hiring manager if you're trying to get a position. But the hiring manager, in some cases, is going to push you to the recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, and we talked about it on the webinar last week, but if you know somebody in the organization that can get your resume to both the recruiter and the hiring manager, like get your resume on their desk, that's the ideal scenario. And there's a lot of people on LinkedIn. Like, I had somebody reach out to me last week. They saw that I was connected to someone, and the person that I was connected to had posted open positions that they were hiring, and someone that I knew asked me to put in, just mention that they knew me and that they were looking for a position. And I did that for someone, and she got an interview. And I barely knew the hiring manager, but it's really just, if someone's willing to get you closer to that individual, and knows that individual well enough that they feel comfortable reaching out to them, then that's just, it's just it just gets you one step closer to the individual who's hiring. Yeah. And I'll,
I have one more question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I have one more question.
Sure.
In that vein, because I'll see people who I know who were connected to somebody on LinkedIn. But then when I ask them, they're like, well, I don't really know them that well. So I'm wondering, I could just try and link to them directly
Yeah,
instead of trying to go through a third person.
you could, for sure.
Yeah, is there much value? I mean, just because you're linked to somebody that you don't really know, is there much value in still going through you to that person?
I think so. Of course, it depends on how well they know them.
Right.
Me having as many connections as I do, there's going to be a lot of people that I don't know, personally and really well. Um,
Hmm.
but me having been a marketing hiring manager in the past, and me being a recruiter right now, and just being very actively involved in the marketing community, if you can find somebody like that that can make that connection, even if I don't know them very well, then that could be
Hmm.
helpful. So, because they're going to
Okay.
look at my profile too to see who I am and whether I'm worthy of, them carrying who I am. Um, so it it
Hmm.
it also depends on the individual that's making the connection, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Does anybody else have any questions? This is your opportunity. Does everyone already use LinkedIn pretty regularly for all of this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
It's the job seekers and the job hiring managers and the recruiters' best friends. There is a lot of activity that happens around job seeking on LinkedIn, and it's probably the number one thing, the number one communication that happens on LinkedIn. And it's just a very valuable tool. And the more that you can learn about it and know about it, the better.
Yeah. I mean, Sales Navigator seems pretty cool. I've got premium right now, and I'll be honest, I don't think I use premium till its full extent yet
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
So,
And I think they're about the same
but
price, right? Premium and Sales Navigator.
roughly, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I gotta
Yeah.
look. Yeah.
I think, I looked into both a long time ago, and I think Sales Navigator is a lot better, personally. I am a recruiter, and there's LinkedIn Recruiter as well, and I choose Sales Navigator over LinkedIn Recruiter because I think it's a better tool.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just most people don't
Yeah.
realize that they can use it for other things. It doesn't have to just be for sales, but being able to save the profiles and things like that, and take notes on the different companies and the different individuals, and the way that you can search are all great features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I will definitely have to. I'll try it out for free.
All right. Might as well. Can't hurt anything. All right. Well, if nobody else has any questions, I'm sorry. I think what happened was I actually had everyone on mute, so I apologize that you were trying to talk to me, and I was just talking away. So sorry. Let you live and you learn. Next time I'll make sure that doesn't happen. And then
No problem.
this will be available as a recording within the job seekers group on the Marketing Mob platform. So if anybody wants to see it again, they're welcome to view it there.
Cool. Thank you.
Terrific. Thanks,
All right.
Anel.
Thanks, everyone.
It's been great.
All
Gotta
right.
bounce.
Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You too. Take care.